June 26, 1975. A racecourse in the quiet Irish village of Bellewstown. The crowd is buzzing, horses are lined up, bookmakers are adjusting their boards, and somewhere, hidden deep inside a tangle of thorny bushes at the edge of the very same racetrack, a man is crouching. He has binoculars pressed to his eyes. His hands are steady. His breathing is controlled. And on his face, not fear, not panic, pure, icy calculation. His name is Barney Curley, and today he is about to pull off the most astonishing, jaw-dropping, perfectly engineered legal robbery the world has ever witnessed. No gun, no getaway car, no mask. Just one broken-down horse with the worst racing record in Ireland and a plan so brilliantly wicked, so surgically precise that even the police would be left with their hands completely tied. 300 people scattered across the entire island of Ireland are waiting for his signal. One man is crying his heart out inside a telephone booth on purpose, and hidden beneath the ground of this unassuming racetrack is a tidal wave of money about to crash down on the most powerful bookmakers in the country. The question isn't how he did it. The question is, how did no one see it coming? Welcome once again to the videos of Infinity Archive viewers. Today, we are diving into the true, unbelievable, and utterly mind-blowing story of the Yellow Sam Betting Coup of 1975. A story so extraordinary that it made headlines across Ireland and the United Kingdom overnight, turning one man from a desperate, debt-ridden gambler into a living legend. Let's go back to the beginning. To understand what Barney Curley did that day in Bellewstown, you first have to understand who Barney Curley was. And to understand that, you have to meet his father. Charlie Curley was a greyhound trainer and a cheat. He had built a quiet, dirty little system for himself. He would deliberately drug his fastest dogs to make them run slow, building their reputation as losers. Then, on race day, he would feed them performance-boosting substances hidden inside meat and bet every pound he had on them at the highest possible odds. It was fraud, it was dangerous, and it worked, until it didn't. But young Barney, just 15 years old at the time, was watching all of this very carefully, and one day he decided to flip the script on his own father. Charlie asked Barney to feed the drugged meat to the slow dog as usual. Barney smiled, nodded, and then secretly fed the performance-boosting meat to a different dog instead. The slow dog ran clean and lost. Charlie took a painful financial hit, but Barney had quietly placed his own bet on the other dog, the one he had secretly boosted, and pocketed what would be roughly $500 in today's money. His very first gambling win, earned by outsmarting his own father. Can you imagine? The very first person Barney Curley ever conned was the man who taught him everything. But this story gets much, much darker before it gets legendary. In 1956, Charlie's luck finally ran out in the most brutal way imaginable. He drugged his slowest greyhound as usual, staked everything on it, and the medicine backfired catastrophically. Not only did the dog lose the race, it collapsed mid-run and broke its spine. The damage was total. The financial ruin was complete. At just 16 years old, Barney was forced to drop out of school and take a factory job, laboring day and night alongside his father to pay back debts that felt like a mountain. For 18 months, every single penny they earned went directly back to the bookmakers. Not to food, not to rent, to bookmakers. That experience burned something permanent into Barney Curley. He had seen up close what gambling could do to a family. He had lived inside the wreckage, and rather than walking away from it, he decided he was going to master it. Over the following years, Barney tried everything. He opened a betting shop, he ran a pub, he dabbled in music management, he even smuggled razor blades across the Irish border until the day gunfire broke out at the crossing and nearly ended his life. Nothing worked, nothing lasted. But every time Barney Curley failed, He was taking notes, learning, calculating, waiting. By 1975, he had made a name for himself in Ireland's gambling world, but not the kind of name you'd want. Bookmakers knew his face, they knew his style. The moment Barney Curley walked onto any racetrack, the odds would shift, bets would be refused, bookmakers would go on full alert. He was the most dangerous gambler in the country. He was also £12,000 in debt, roughly equivalent to $180,000 today, like owing the price of a brand new luxury car with no way to pay it back. He had one shot left, and he knew it had to be perfect.
Barney's scheme had 3 layers, each one more brilliant than the last. Layer 1, the horse. Barney reached out to an old friend and asked for a specific kind of horse, one with a terrible, embarrassing, completely discouraging racing record. He found it. A horse so consistently awful that no serious gambler would look at it twice. Barney named it Yellow Sam, after his own father's old nickname. But here was the secret. Yellow Sam wasn't actually a bad horse. Yellow Sam was a fast horse. Specifically, he was a horse that ran powerfully on firm ground, exactly the kind of ground that the Bellewstown track was known for. Barney spent months deliberately entering Yellow Sam in races with the wrong terrain, the wrong conditions, the wrong competitors. He engineered loss after loss, humiliation after humiliation. He had Yellow Sam's official handicap rating lowered so far into the ground that on paper, this horse looked like the biggest loser in Irish racing history. Think of it like a boxer secretly holding back in his last 10 fights, just so his next opponent underestimates him completely. When Barney finally entered Yellow Sam in the Mount Hanover Handicap Hurdle, a race perfectly suited to his horse's hidden strengths, the bookmakers offered the most irresistible odds possible. 20-1. Bet £1, win 20. The kind of odds that only come when everyone believes a horse has absolutely zero chance of winning. Barney smiled. That was exactly what he needed. Layer 2, the army. A single large bet by Barney Curley would have been spotted immediately. Bookmakers would have slashed the odds in seconds. So Barney built an invisible army. He personally recruited 300 trusted individuals from across the entire island of Ireland. 300 people, as many as can fill a small concert hall. Each one received a sealed envelope containing between £50 and £300 in cash, along with strict instructions. Wait until the very last moment before the race, then place your bet on Yellow Sam simultaneously from different locations at different betting shops. The coordination required was extraordinary. This wasn't a gang of criminals. These were friends, acquaintances, people who believed in Barney or who simply couldn't resist the opportunity. Together, they carried Barney's total investment of £15,000, every single pound he had left in the world, an amount equivalent to roughly $225,000 today. If the plan failed, Barney wouldn't just lose the money, he would lose everything. The debt would swallow him completely. Jail was a real possibility. Layer 3, the phone booth. This was the masterstroke, the detail that elevated this plan from clever to genius. Barney had chosen Bellewstown track very deliberately. It was small, remote, and crucially, it had only one public phone booth on the entire premises. One single phone line connecting the track to the outside world. In 1975, this was how the gambling system worked. Betting shops across the country would phone the track as horses came in heavily backed, and bookmakers at the track would adjust the odds accordingly. The phone line was the nervous system connecting every bookmaker in Ireland to what was happening on the ground. Barney's plan was breathtakingly simple. Block the phone. For just 25 minutes. He assigned this mission to his most trusted friend, a man named Benny. The instructions were clear. Get to that phone booth before anyone else. Pick up the receiver and do not let go, no matter what. If anyone tries to physically remove you from the booth, threaten to smash the phone entirely. But that phone must remain occupied until the race is over. Benny had a cover story ready. A sick aunt on her deathbed, and he simply could not leave until he had heard her voice one last time. It was heartbreaking, it was convincing, and it was completely fictional.
Race day arrived. 25 minutes before the start, Benny walked calmly into the Bellewstown phone booth, lifted the receiver, and began to cry. The queue behind him grew. Frustration mounted. Bookmakers, desperate to call their offices back in Dublin, tapped their feet and checked their watches. But Benny wept and pleaded and spoke in broken, devastated tones about his poor, dying aunt, and the crowd, rather than dragging him out, began to feel sympathy. Meanwhile, Barney crouched in his thorn bush, binoculars trained on the starting line, completely invisible. And across Ireland, in towns, in cities, in small villages, in betting shops from Dublin to Galway, 300 people quietly walked up to counters and placed their bets on Yellow Sam. One after another, like clockwork, like a perfectly synchronized orchestra. 20-1 every single bet. The bookmakers at the track had no idea. No phone call came through, the odds stayed locked, and when the race began, so did the lock on those magnificent 20-1 returns. The starting gun fired. Yellow Sam exploded from the gate. The so-called worst horse in Ireland flew across the firm Bellew's ground as if he had been waiting his entire life for this exact moment. He cleared 13 hurdles with terrifying ease. The favorites, horses like Silver Road, with reputations built on years of victories, were left gasping in his wake. Yellow Sam won by 2.5 lengths. The silence that followed among the bookmakers lasted only a second. Then came the chaos. When the bookmakers finally understood what had happened, when the phone lines opened and the magnitude of what had been done crashed over them like a wave, the racetrack erupted. They hauled Benny out of the phone booth. They demanded answers. Benny wiped his eyes, smiled serenely, and announced that a miracle had occurred. His aunt had recovered. He had never heard of anyone named Barney Curley, and he walked away without a care in the world. The bookmakers now had no choice. They had to pay. Barney Curley's total investment of £15,000 returned a staggering £300,000, equivalent to approximately $3.5 million in today's money, enough to fill 108 burlap sacks, which is exactly how the furious bookmakers paid it, £1 at a time, in the most deliberately inconvenient way they could manage. 108 sacks. Like carrying away the weight of a small car, coin by coin. Barney Curley had broken no laws. He had not forged any documents. He had not threatened anyone. He had not stolen a single penny by force. He had simply identified the weaknesses inside a system built on arrogance and used those weaknesses as his weapon. The story exploded across Ireland and the United Kingdom overnight. Barney Curley became a legend, and the bookmakers, seething with rage and humiliation, changed their rules immediately, making it mandatory for large bets to be placed at least 30 minutes before any race. Barney went on to pull off several more remarkable gambling coups in 2010 and 2014, proving that even at 70 years old, his mind was as sharp, calculating, and dangerous as ever. He passed away on May 23, 2021, at the age of 81 after a long battle with cancer. The horse racing world mourned him not as a criminal, but as a genius, a folk hero, the Robin Hood of racing. A man who stole from a system designed to exploit the desperate and gave generously to the poor throughout his life. Barney Curley's story raises a question that lingers long after the dust settles. When a system is so broken, so rigged, and so arrogant that it never imagined someone clever enough to turn it inside out, is the man who beats it a criminal or a genius? What do you think? Was Barney Curley a hero, a villain, or something the world has never quite had a word for? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. We genuinely want to know. Hopefully, you will like and share this video of Infinity Archive abundantly. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next spectacular video.